All right, hello. This is Anon of the Week, episode 3. A little bit of a different setup here. We have an Anon who wanted to go by the name Baker with us to discuss anime and politics.
Hey everyone.
Hi, yeah. All right, so we're going to start out with the nerdy anime discussion. I know, maybe some people aren't a fan of that, but this is the normie filter. This is the filter to get rid of the normies who I do not want in my chat. Get out, fucking re, okay?
Yeah, I can get real autistic about anime.
All right, are you watching anything this season?
Actually, with university and stuff, most of my power level goes into like manga more than anime because
Oh,
usually
that's
I can
fine. Yeah,
just
there's a lot of good manga.
yeah, like it's kind of shameful to say, but a lot of what I've been reading lately has been kind of shoujo stuff.
Shoujo manga. I don't know. I've read a few myself.
Uh,
Some of them are
I
pretty
I
good.
I I read a lot. Like holy shit.
I imagine it's a lot. I don't know. There's not that many that get translated these days. Shoujo manga, at least in English.
No, definitely not.
What are some
Um,
What are some that you've been reading lately that you would think are worth talking about?
that's embarrassing.
Come on, we're talking about anime on a stream, and you're anonymous. Just fucking
Yeah.
talk about it.
Um. Well, there is this one good one I found. It was called Namaiki Zakari. It's how do I say this? It's literally basically you basically you just bully. It's just this tsundere that just gets as the main character, and she just gets bullied for like 70 chapters.
That sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, holy shit, it's actually really good. Like, I don't know how to say this, but she's a really good heroine. Like, you really like her. You really want her to win.
That she's just getting bullied all the time.
Well, okay. I shouldn't really say bully. She's very ganbarimasu. So she, the, how do I describe it? It's like she's a very motherly kind of character. She tries really hard. She has like all these younger siblings, that kind of archetype. So she's always taken care of other people, and then as shoujo manga goes, she meets the first guy who tries to take care of her and kind of teases her a lot, and it breaks her cool exterior.
It just sounds like a classic shoujo manga to me.
Yeah, well, actually, lately, I don't know. Usually the heroines come in like 3 different flavors. It's usually the kind of average, boring every girl, or the bitch in disguise, or as the
Bitch in
last one,
disguise.
the tsundere. Yeah, yeah. Like, what was that one? God, there was that one shoujo manga that was kind of funny, and it was like about this girl who basically tells everyone, "Hey, I only like guys for their face," and then like the first time she starts dating someone, it's super fat guy.
All right. If most of the chat isn't really familiar with this sort of stuff, so do you have any more
Yeah.
popular manga you've been
Okay.
reading that have been
Let's.
discussed on a
Yeah.
lot?
Oh right. It keeps talking about this one. What was it called? We Can't Study.
We Can't Study. I've actually not heard of it. What's it about?
Oh, really? Because I remember A talks about it a lot. So it's literally about a bunch of girls who are geniuses, but they're only genius in like one subject.
That
So,
sounds interesting.
and like
Is
all
it
the boys
Yuri?
are trying to get. No, actually,
Subtext?
no. It's free standard fan service.
Oh man.
Although I have to say the art is very nice. The art is very nice. Like say one of the characters. So one of the characters, like, imagine JF as a girl.
JF as a girl.
Yeah, super autistic. Like how to into feeling young fellow humans.
Well, that's just the
but she's
classic
trying to.
kudere.
No, no, yeah, yeah. And then, but the difference is that she's trying to she's trying to get into a psychology universe. She's trying to get like
In
a major in
psychology.
psychology. Yeah, but she doesn't understand how to human at all, so that's why she's trying to. Yeah, the main character is he's trying to get a scholarship, and this one of the scholarship's condition was that he has to tutor these two girls that are
All right, so there's a
genius
male main
and
character. Okay, I'm not reading it then. No, thanks for telling me.
yeah, yeah.
I don't read anything with generic beta inserts. It's just like because all the female
Yeah,
characters get a brain cancer where they just love the beta insert, and usually the beta insert doesn't
yeah,
have enough, a likable charisma to ever
yeah.
justify having these friends.
Okay. Speaking of girls, someone mentioned in the chat Yuri. How do you feel about that?
I love Yuri Yuri. I've been reading the
Yes,
chapters that have
yeah,
come out
same.
recently, and I've watched all 3 seasons. I think third season gets
Yeah,
a lot of flack, but it's just a bit more closer to the manga than the original two.
to be a little optic about it, yeah, the third season of Yuri, they got a different studio to animate it.
Yeah,
I
they did.
forgot. The first two seasons was Doga Kobo, and Doga Kobo does like they are the best at the kind of cute girls doing cute shit thing. The
Yeah,
whole
they have a really good sound designer who makes their comedies really fun to fucking watch. Like they did Gabriel Dropout, and they did
oh yeah, and they also like A gives them a lot of shit for for over animation, but usually it works.
yeah. Sometimes they go a little overboard. Didn't they do
Yeah, it's like
fucking Kumamiko, or was that somebody else? I need to go look that up.
Kumiko. I feel like it was someone else.
Hold on, I'm gonna look it up. Uh,
Yeah.
so I thought they were ones behind Kumamiko, and it was all well animated and shit. But they fucked with the ending really hard, and that like pissed a
Oh,
lot of people
I didn't
off.
finish it. To be perfectly honest, I got bored of Kumiko by like
Yeah,
episode 4.
I mean, I watched the rest of it because it was such a shit show. Or no, yeah, it wasn't Dokubo, which makes sense because they wouldn't fuck anything up that badly.
Yeah.
It was not. It was Studio Citrus.
Oh yeah, Citrus not have a good. They don't have a good track record.
Yeah, yeah. I would say the first 2 seasons of Yuri Yuri were a lot more like they were slapstick comedy and they had the sound design and direction for that. But that's not really what the
Oh,
manga has a
okay.
little bit of slapstick comedy, but that's not really its focus. I think the third season's a bit closer to the manga itself.
Speaking of Yuri, you know what's sad?
What?
Uh, Akari's voice actress. What was her name? Oh God, there's someone I know in the chat like so super autistic about her voice actress. The fact that I forgot her name, she must be like fuming.
Yeah. Well, I've seen
Anyway,
Akari's voice actress doing this like really crappy YouTube gig.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Holy shit, so sad.
If people in the chat don't know,
It
there's a new trend. It's called virtual YouTubers. Basically, it's all the rage in fucking Japan. They have like 10,000, 20,000 viewer live streams sometimes. They basically use the shit like I'm using, like a face rig or a some other sort of animation tracking software, and then they have a cute girl do the voice, and then they just have this animated anime persona that hosts the YouTube channel, and they've become extremely popular lately, like fucking meteoric popularity. And basically, this professional voice actress is stuck in one of the worst projects with the worst producers. I think it's like Yuna's channel. Fucking their name, just Yuna. I forget.
I God, what was her name? Holy shit. I know he's in the chat, so you can just tell me.
Yua, not Yuna. Yua. Yeah, that's right.
There he is.
Fucking Yua. And whenever there's a
Yeah,
thread on
and
JP
there's
about
a
her,
clip.
they just like shit post about about you being garbage. It's honestly hilarious. It's a bit sad. I do feel sorry for that voice actress.
Yeah, and there's that webm that keeps circulating of her just saying, "I cry every night."
I think that she's trying to play up the angle, but I mean, it's just a shit show. They have like a bunch of retards running
Yeah,
that.
it's bad.
Yeah. Do you want to just talk about virtual YouTubers? Because I follow a lot of them.
I only follow Kizuna Ai because all of them I tried to follow all of them, but I couldn't.
I don't watch I's videos just because they're so formulaic. I like Mariah Carey, who was also mentioned in the chat, is really good.
Uh,
She's like a better version
uh,
of uh, of basically Kizuna in my mind. She's a bit more ganky,
Kizuna.
and she has a better
Oh
variety in
yeah.
her videos.
Well, actually, I did start watching Luna, but
Luna's
she
cool,
doesn't
yeah.
ever upload.
Luna's also like a very nice comedic character, and became extremely popular so quickly. Like fucking like almost like 500,000 subs in like 2 weeks. It was ridiculous.
500,000 subs with only 5 videos.
Yeah,
But wait,
it
how many
was
now? That was
insanity.
like a long time ago. Oh, that's insane.
Yeah.
All right, you mentioned in the last stream you're into light novels.
I do read on occasion. I mainly read the trashy ones. I need the I've been one good one I really like that the translation's going a bit faster for now is Ascendance of a Bookworm. If you've read that one,
Just from that name.
what's that?
I said just from the name, I can already feel it's
It's a
some
reincarnation. That's right, but it's
yeah.
done really tastefully, and they actually have and the setting is in the medieval ages to where it's like just fucking terrible to live in the medieval ages like it was, and that actually makes it a pretty convincing setting. It's not like a power trip story. It's more of a like the girl basically goes around
Uh,
using her modern knowledge to become a fucking super successful merchant and like import modern technology into the medieval world, like fucking making paper and other simple shit, and it's like made her very rich, and it's pretty interesting to read.
yeah, definitely not some Arifureta level shit.
Yeah, I sometimes read those sorts of ones, but I avoid them, especially the harem ones.
Oh yeah, it's like no, I don't really want to get into that.
What do you read? All the trashy light novels?
No, no, no. I did find one that was it's not isekai at all. It's a light novel I found recently. And it looks it has a very promising start, but I don't think anyone's doing the translations right now. It's called
Happens a
Assassin's
lot.
Pride.
What's it called?
Assassin's Pride.
I haven't heard of it, but yeah, I'll check it out. What's it about?
Yeah. Okay. I guess it's kind of a spoiler. So basically, the main character is an assassin who's sent to assassinate this girl, and but do that he pretends to be her tutor, and and basically it's one of those light fantasy sort of things. And so the main girl is supposed to be the descendant of like a very powerful family. So
Yeah.
she's supposed to have a very powerful bloodline, but for some reason she can't manifest any magic at all, and that's why like people are thinking that she's probably not a legitimate heir, so that's why she was sent to get assassinated. But the assassin, the assassin, he falls in love with her purity. I make that sound bad, but honestly, she's just so cute. Like, I can't think of anyone who'd want to kill this girl.
Yeah. Hold on, I gotta mess with my audio a bit. People in chat might be having issues. If you have really good
On my
headphones,
end.
you might be picking up the background fan of my computer, which is a little high pitched. Sorry about that. You might just want to lower your volume a bit if you're picking up that fan.
Or mine, which is also quite
I don't
low.
think I have to have my thing on because of how OBS works, but I don't think it's on your end.
Okay. Yeah, I just like pushed my computer further.
Okay, okay. Anyways, have you read Dungeon Meshi?
Oh yeah. I started reading it because the guy doing the illustrations, that was the same guy who did like uh Yuzakura Quartet, and I fucking love his art. I stayed for like 2 volumes, but then I sort of forgot about it.
Dungeon Meshi?
Oh shit! Holy shit! Dungeon Meshi. Right. For some reason, I was thinking of Danmachi.
Oh.
Dungeon Meshi. Oh, holy shit! Dungeon Meshi. I love that. That is yeah. That is very good. I
One of the
keep up with
best, I
that
think.
every time there's a new update. I just freak out a little bit.
It does the fantasy, the sort of the RPG fantasy right. It's like full on Dungeons and Dragons, hard fucking
Yeah, it's
rules.
complete. It's total. Yeah.
And they do
Except
the
with
nice
cooking.
cooking sub theme and all this shit.
Yeah. You really learn something.
Yeah. It's a really good one. I hope there was a vote earlier. It was like some sort of Japanese government vote for vote which one gets like international representation, and people were all voting for Dungeon Meshi, hoping that it would get some government funding for
Yeah,
an anime.
that would be great. Yeah, that would be. Holy shit!
A
That
Dungeon
would that
Meshi
would
anime would be fucking stellar
yeah. Especially with an actual budget.
with an actual budget. Yeah, it would be great. Um, sorry, yeah,
You have
sorry for
anything
the
else you
buzzing
wanna?
noise, guys, in chat. I guess it shows which of my chat can hear high pitched noises and not.
Yeah, which one of them are still young bucks?
I don't know. Dungeon Mage. Someone said it needs more time to flesh out the story. I think it's actually kind of coming towards its conclusion. I think they'll spend a
Yeah,
few more
it's
volumes on setting up the climax, but I think it's coming towards the end.
yeah. If they continue after they reach, I don't want to spoil anything, but if it continues after they
After they
meet up
complete
with
their
her
objective,
again, yeah, after they complete their objective, and I feel like most people are probably gonna force the author to continue the story.
I don't think. I think the author is principled enough to not,
Hmm.
from what I've seen.
Because the author also did sort of kind of hint at like a much bigger plot outside of just the dungeon itself.
Maybe I don't know.
You remember the chapter with gnomes when they left the dungeon and they were talking to the government?
Yeah, maybe, but that's sort of. I don't think that. It depends
Yeah,
if
it
he wants to
might
do
be
that.
like under a different game. Like,
If they, I mean, they could do more
yeah, it
stuff in
might
the
just
same setting. I don't want them to like do like an infinitely long manga with the same characters though. That would make it turn something once really good to something bad, like we've seen so many times.
oh yeah, so many times.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think they're really rushing it. They're gonna give enough time for the climax to be satisfactory. It's just, I mean, they've been doing some development and filler chapters lately, so. So, what was the
I
last
think
seasonal
yeah,
anime
I
you
think it should be
watched?
fine. Oh boy, last one I watched was God, why can't I remember? Uh, what was it? Was a season after Luluko.
Season after Luluko. That's a while ago. And then what was
Yeah,
the anime
it's
you
like
watched in that season?
I'm trying to remember.
Can't even remember it. Must not have been very good.
I can't. That's probably why I stopped. Like it was like a really bad season now, and I just started thinking,
Yeah, there were some
why
weak
am I even
seasons.
really bothering anymore? Because when I do watch anime, I just like multitask and I just watch it like in the corner of my eye.
Yeah, the
So that's why
2017 and it has been really strong, and then 2018 has been really strong so far as well. So, um, at least later half of 2017 had like some ridiculously good anime.
I feel like I should refresh my memory. Like for example,
Like Gabriel Dropout, Yojo Senki,
oh
Kimono
yeah,
Friends.
Gabriel Dropout was good.
Yeah, Yojo
Oh,
Senki,
I
Kimono
guess that
Friends.
makes Gabriel drop out the last thing I watched.
Oh, that's right. I think that was in winter of 2017, or the first season.
Yeah, that was some good shit, man.
Yeah. Honestly, 2017 was a really good year for anime. There was a lot of shit like Konohana Kitan, just a lot of good shows. The Yuki Yuna sequel. Yeah, it was just a very strong year
They
compared
made
to.
a sequel. I actually didn't even know they made a
It was,
sequel.
yeah, they made a prequel movie of the prequel LNs, and then they did a sequel. So the sequel TV, the first 6 episodes are the prequel movie re-put on TV, and then the last 6 are new original for the second season. So it's kind of rushed, but
Oh,
it's still a satisfactory ending, I think. So I would definitely go watch it if you like Yuki Yuna, which I do.
I see, I see.
One of my favorite shows. Well, what's your favorite show? Would you say?
This one I can answer easy. It's a very niche one. Saying this makes me sound like a hipster, but my favorite anime is definitely, um, Humanity Has Declined.
Humanity Has Declined. Oh, I love that anime. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, God, that was so good. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's a really good one. It just had like basically no matter who you were, there was something for you in that anime. Uh,
Oh
there's
yeah,
such a
yeah.
good variety of episodes and stories and solid writing all the way through, and
And
solid animation.
a solid animation. That might be the one thing I would disagree with.
Well, yeah,
The
you're right.
animation.
Now that I'm
It's a
thinking
really
back, there were some
low
quality
budget.
moments, although I'm sure they got fixed for the BD.
Oh, right. I just remember the climax. The climax was it was really well animated.
Yeah,
It's it's also interesting because it goes in reverse. So you actually see it. You actually realize like how well developed she was at the start of the anime, and it just goes in reverse. It's like you see her slowly become more and more of more and more of a loner as the anime went on. But it was like that she grows up to someone really good, into someone that's a really well developed human being.
yeah. I think it's such a good show in that it's episodic mostly, but it also has solid threads of character development for multiple characters. It's just really well written, and I quite
Yeah.
like it.
And like even the small ones, like who the two androids, like even though they were only there for 2 episodes, I was really invested in them.
The what was that? The Voyager mission.
Yeah, the Voyager mission one, the two Voyagers.
The two Voyager mission satellites who were turned into androids. That was a pretty touching story.
Yeah. You also get to see Miyuki Sawashiro raise her inner Fujoshi.
Yeah. Have you seen Flip Flappers? Somebody in chat mentioned it.
Oh yeah, a friend of mine really tried to get me into it, but I watched the first season now, and I wasn't. Why did I say first season? I watched the first
The
episode,
season.
and I wasn't interested.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I watched it
But
all the way
I guess if
through.
it is that good, I should give it a shot.
Well, I don't honestly. I think it's like a 7 out of 10. I'm a Yayaka
Okay.
friend, and I was just like, I never liked Papika. No offense to Papika in chat. I thought Papika was just like a dumb autist, like stupid Genki cardboard cutout, and I thought she kind of like dragged the show down. And like the fact that they gave Yayaka all this fucking development, all this good shit, and then they just cuck her. I'm like, okay, fuck this. And cuck her for like this
Whoa,
weird
spoiler!
Freudian aunt. Yeah, never mind. Besides that, it was just fucking. A lot of the quality of the individual episodes were all over the place, and then like they just like, I felt like they maybe had some production issues that made the fucking writing all over the place by the ending.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 7 out of
If you
10.
haven't read Jung, it's a series
If you,
all the more amazing.
yeah, well, fucking Jordan Peterson me. If you read Young, The Lion King is so much more enjoyable. If you read Young, Flip
Oh
Flappers
god,
is a ten
I
out of
think
ten.
I heard that exact quote when it happened in one of his lectures.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
fucking.
shamefully, I used to like listen to his lectures and clean my room, and the room is completely
You cleaned your
unclean.
room to his
My
lectures?
bed,
Wow.
yeah, my bed today is unmade, and it hasn't been made in a very long time.
You got bed pilled. You understand now that making your bed is a spook.
Yeah, yeah, truly.
Fucking Jordan Peterson. He's an intelligent guy, and I like listening to his lectures on psychology. It's just that I don't think what he said warrants his fucking giant cult following that he has. It's like the first time anyone's listened to a
It's
fucking well-spoken lecturer.
it's the first time anyone has told him to clean their room.
I mean, I guess that's also sort of true.
Yeah,
Yeah, he just like I don't know. He has like weird ideas about sort of fucking making the archetypes manifest in society and
I
shit.
was I was there. I just remember being right there when he was talking about you have to slay the dragon in your dreams.
It's free
Like
your
he said those
father from the
exact
whale
words.
belly.
He Yeah, like okay, we get it. There's if you overanalyze anything, it can mean something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The archetypes do manifest. Adolf Hitler was Odin.
Yeah, it's funny that he like more recently he's like going after the postmodernists for their oh well we can every interpretation of everything and then the whole basis of his ideology is a interpretation off of like what biblical archetypes and shit onto modern society. It's like okay, like what are you even doing?
It's also it's not really anything. It's not really that new, kind of.
No, it's
Just
old.
that
It's
he
young.
happens to be, yeah. It's just that he happens to be a big name and he's doing it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I watched him do the rounds on all the other interview shows like fucking Joe Rogan and H3H3. I fucking hate H3H3. Bunch of sellouts.
Uh,
Uh, but I watched him do the rounds. It's like there's these retarded like 80 IQ entertainer people, and they're just listening to like a 100 IQ, 110, 20, 40 IQ guy lecture them, and everyone in the comments like, oh my god, he's so smart because they've never listened to a fucking lecture by a professor before. I'm like, okay,
never heard a lecture by
by a
someone who isn't
well-spoken
gender
lecturer. There's so
studies.
many of them in college if you go to college, so it's not a
Yeah.
particularly. Although honestly, the fucking the
Well,
standard has
see,
fallen a bit.
maybe plenty might be an overstatement. Some, I'd say some.
Well, yeah, if you went to college for 4 years, you've heard at least one really good orator do a lecture, and it's pretty
Yeah.
entertaining to listen to. And it makes it so fucking easy to learn if they're a good orator. Uh,
Uh, a certain someone in the chat here knows me, and they know what I'm talking about here. There was a certain professor that we both knew, and he was a very well-spoken guy, and you thought he was very intelligent, and he is very intelligent in his field. And then suddenly, the next day, he just comes up to you and says, Hillary Clinton is an amazing woman. And then you just go,
yeah,
sure.
but I mean that's also just the immense social pressure of like a lot of people don't even think about politics and they just take social cues from their circles because even if they did if they did all the fucking research and they found their own shit like they're sharing it would cause social problems so most people just use the social osmosis strategy for politics and that also causes a lot of issues in society.
Mm.
uh,
Should we get into politics now?
yeah, it's been about 30 minutes on anime.
Yeah.
So you wanted to talk about any particular political topics? You said earlier you wanted to talk about economics. Obviously, from your image, you like economics.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to think of a particular topic to talk about. Oh, right. You mentioned that you want to. I forgot what it was. It was back. It was in one of the poll threads in the one of the IBS threads. You were you believed in. I forgot what it was called. Neo.
I believe, well, neoliberal macroeconomics, I do believe to an extent, like the theory is still sound. The theory has not been disproven. It's just that it is being implemented by greedy bankers who don't actually give a shit about society.
Okay. I'm trying to get. Well, I'm trying to see if I understand. Like, when you say neoliberal, can you go a little bit into detail about that?
Well, when I mean neoliberal, I just mean if you go to a college and you take an economics course all the way, economics courses all the way through, it is the neoliberal school now, the neo-Keynesian globalist
Oh,
school.
that's what
I
you
didn't
meant.
mean in the,
Yeah, sorry,
yeah.
because I've never heard anyone call it
Well, that's
neoliberalism,
what
and
it
I'm
is,
always confused.
because I mean, well, there was original Chicago, there was the Austrian schools. I mean, there's the Chicago school of the classical, there's neoclassical, and then there's Keynesian, and then there's neoliberal Keynesian, which is where we're at now. We're in neoliberal Keynesian, and they have a lot of good theories about how to manipulate the macroeconomy and solve certain microeconomy problems that are empirically sound and have been proven to work through policy testing. It's just that either the political will doesn't exist to implement the micro level shit, or the macro level shit they do it in such a way that it harms the everyman and enriches the banker instead of doing it. And there's many methods you can use, but they just use the ones that are the best for the rich people.
To be perfectly honest, yeah, I've always read that, and I don't really see how they can implement on a macro level that is really all that sustainable. I guess
Well, it's
when you
not. No, it's
say
not
like,
supposed to be sustainable. It's mainly to prevent shocks or lessen
right,
shocks.
right, right.
You like if a deflationary spiral is being threatened, you use stimulation in the economy to get people spending money, because otherwise people are just going to sit on their money in the banks, and businesses are going to shutter. People are going to suffer. The problem is if you target your stimulation spending at, like, say, shitty businesses are failing, instead of like creating giant projects or new businesses that aren't malinvestment. Basically, you're just letting all these shitty companies that are falling because of their own garbage survive and continue to fucking parasite, while all the innocent people suffer on the fucking streets because the economy's still going to go down.
Yeah, holy shit! When Joachim Laheim mentioned that, I honestly felt like screaming, because like he wants to protect corporations, and then to make all the poor investments that he want.
He
Like,
he doesn't
so
understand what malinvestment means,
and
and
yeah, and then then I sort of left, like, uh and then I wanted to ask him, like, that tax money used to make those protectionist policies, it has to come from somewhere. Well, how you talk about saving this 70-year-old, no, this 50-year-old
it's
trucker
just an
who
emotional
doesn't know how to do
antidote.
anything else, but then, yeah. And then, okay, no,
Yeah,
not
because
gonna talk about Laheim.
because empirically,
Yeah.
if you do the fucking graph, you get rid of the tariff, you get a gain in society that is greater than what you're protecting, and then you can turn around
Yes.
and give that gain to the. There's a fucking word for this theory. I forgot what it was. It was like it wasn't Pareto optimal. It wasn't Pareto optimal. It was uh,
That I'm so bad with games. Like, I have to see the graphs.
yeah. It was something like, fuck, I forget. Basically it means that by implementing this certain change, uh, people are going to lose out, but you gain so much in implementing this change in policy that you can just compensate the loser and then have a surplus anyways. And that's sort of the thing about making your society more efficient, is as long as it's an efficiency gain so high, you gain so much wealth for your society that you can both compensate the loss of the person losing out and get more for your society overall. The problem is that we have a corporatist system where all these rents are being sought by the lobbyists and all this other shit, that basically well, they advocate for this efficiency gain, and then they advocate for it all go to their pockets instead of compensating the people that lose out, and so that causes obviously all the political
Actually,
shit in our society.
I actually want to mention something about that. So yeah, that is true, but at the same time, if so, we're trying to get companies to be more efficient, but um, we're also at the same aren't we also at the same time kind of killing their incentive to what's the word I was looking for?
What, stay
Because
in the
you're
country?
no, you said no, not definitely not that. You said your God, I'm so bad. Let me organize my thoughts a second.
Sure.
You said that the way you thought when they asked you how to do that, you said you tax the rich, right? And then I was sort of thinking, well, yes, that would work, but at the same time, isn't that kind of like that doesn't really incentivize the owners to expand at some point they're going to reach that point where
Yeah, but there's a
expanding or
level
being
of
more efficient
tax you can
isn't.
do before that happens, and people are still going to invest in your society because they gain other things from living in your nice, high class society like America. Uh, they could theoretically they could go all live in fucking Paraguay, with like a shitty government that won't protect their property rights, but they would rather have a government that protects their property rights. It's just that instead of the government, using their all the fucking work they'd put into making a decent society to get a good return on the people living here, they just let the people living here at the top just basically pay no taxes using tax loopholes.
mm,
I mean, if you look at Japan,
that
they have
is
a
true.
large tax base for their higher class, and people that like native Japanese do not emigrate and live in other countries.
Oh yeah, actually. Oh God, I actually just realized that. Sorry.
Yeah, basically,
Uh,
yeah,
I don't
it's
think I disagree with you on anything when it comes to economics, to be honest.
okay.
So,
I mean, you don't have to disagree. We can just
I don't know.
discuss
I'm
stuff.
thinking. Yeah. So, hmm, hmm, discuss anything you want to bring up.
I don't know. Uh, how about? I mean, I
Oh, I
haven't really
guess
been watching the streams this week.
someone asked me like a long time ago about like how would you how would you keep banks accountable basically, because like the 2007 crisis thing where it was all the banks needed to do was basically to not lend
Well, we had
fraud
we
by
had a
large
system
mortgages,
that
basically to
effectively did that. It was the split between investment and commercial banks. So the people who had all their money saved in the commercial banks, like a normal savings account, and like businesses, were separate than the people doing speculative investment. But I think it was the repeal of was it the repeal of Glass Steagall? I don't fucking remember all the. It's been a while. The Glass Steagall Act, and then they were allowed to combine commercial and investment banks into a single entity, which lets you have everybody's money tied up into fraudulent shit like the CDO mortgage crisis.
I actually didn't know they were originally separated.
They were originally separated. It was under Reagan. Reagan basically
Oh,
fucked everybody. If you really look at what Reagan did, he is the worst president in United States history. Fucking he fucked everything basically.
I guess the fact that I'm still an undergraduate is trying to show.
No, that's fine. Yeah. The Yeah, there was the Glass Steagall Act, which separated commercial and investment banking, and that was good because it prevented from the all the commercial shit in economy being
Yeah, I
tied to
always, I
risk.
was always, yeah. Well, every time I was studying about macroeconomics, I always thought, yeah, why didn't they just separate it? Because
They
if the
did.
people who held the asset, yeah, if the people who didn't hold the assets, if the people who held the assets weren't allowed to use all of them, then a lot of this would just be like we also, it's one of the basics of management is that you're supposed to separate the powers,
Yeah.
separate the authority, so that not one entity can just
Well,
control
like
everything.
basically all of our problems are fundamentally on the easy influence of other actors on our politicians to corrupt them, which happens in every society through history, and will always happen no matter what you do. It's just we do not have an efficient safeguard against it at all in our society, and it's gone on and on. It honestly went on and on since like the beginning of the nation. That we've always had problems of corruption. It's just we don't like to talk about them openly.
And most people don't understand it.
That too, yeah. There's always going to be rich people in your society, and they're always going to influence politics. But you got to have a way for your greater populace and their sort of their needs and their needs and their interests to be represented through time without being subverted and destroyed. And it's a hard task to pull off, but we obviously did not do it very well. Yeah.
So how do you feel about all the ANCAP? Did you see the Spencer versus what's his name, Kokesh debate?
I haven't watched much of the debates lately. I've been sort of tuned out from doing other shit.
Yeah, because I was they were talking about Spencer was being kind of Spencer.
Yeah.
And he was talking about being we absolutely need the state to oh God, I can't believe I forgot what he said. God damn it! I remember.
Fire your neurons. Come on. What did he say?
Yeah. How would you? I guess the question I was trying to make was, how do you make the government accountable?
There's a lot of ways you can do it.
Because
you do more liberal and often elections makes the government accountable in European countries to an extent. The problem is that they've been basically the social Marxists that fuck with our education system got to them years ago, so to the point where they're completely demoralized. If the U.S. had like an election system similar to fucking Europe, I think we not first past the post. We had a proportional election system and proportional representation. I think America would be a lot healthier than Europe, which has its own problems because we have a lot more ideological actual divides in society and fucking intercourse in terms of terms of like political dialogue compared to Europe. And I think we could actually benefit from proportional society. Even these ones in Europe don't really benefit that much.
A friend of mine also asked this at some point, but do you think a 4-year term is too long or too short?
Well, the thing is, term limits are like a double-edged sword. If it's too long,
yeah, I know. I just feel like 4 as a number, like 4 years, feels like it's a little too short to get a lot done. Like you can make promises.
I think that it stands to reason we can change our
put them in 4 years.
Yeah. It stands to reason. Well, if you have too little term limits, then you're never going to be able to build experienced politicians to actually run your country efficiently. So you need, so at least for Congress, that's an argument to not have term limits because it's become such a fucking bureaucratic shit show in Congress between all the fucking the procedural law manipulation in the committees and all this other stuff that makes us have gridlock all the time. But since we have gridlock all the time, yeah, I think having the executive be like 6 years at least would be better now, because the executive needs that much time to navigate the procedural gridlock of a Congress to get like one thing done. So I think in light of how our political system has changed, I think a longer term limit on the executive would be fine, yeah.
Actually, you mentioned Europe's government system.
Yeah.
Which country in particular? Because
there's a few. I think Germany and
I only really know France.
I think
Germany though.
I think Germany and the Scandinavian countries do proportional representation, and so where you get seats according to your everyone just votes, and then you just get seats according to how much percentage. I mean, the details. There's a lot of like stuff in the details that people have talked about per each system, and you can address those when you actually implement
Although
it.
Germany's having a problem of what's it called? When multiple parties are starting to sort of
Coalition.
join. Yeah, they're having coalition problems.
Well, yeah. You always have coalitions in your society. We technically the Democrats and Republicans are coalitions of broad bases in society. It's just the problem is because of how our congressional procedural system has broken down, they've become sort of tyrants, ideological tyrants, and to an extent that no longer really represent the broad coalitions they once did, and now they're completely entrenched politically. Uh, what was I going to say? Yeah, so we would still have coalitions in society that break down along the right wing and the left wing and stuff, but people's interests would be more represented through a proportional system, and we could get less fucking pandering to these tiny fucking councils of Republicans and Democrats.
Oh yeah. Cat.
But I don't think that here's the problem with all this is that the only way to do that would be a constitutional convention, and not only do the Democrats and Republicans own the state parties that would have to implement this constitutional convention, which they would never allow to happen, and even if it did happen, they could just easily dismiss it and call it illegal and just ignore it. Or co-opt it completely and make a constitution even worse than the one we have now. Well, I mean, not that there's anything wrong with the Constitution now. It's just how it's been legally interpreted has fucked with us.
Yeah, it's been it hasn't been it's been misused.
Yeah. So, anything else you want to talk about politics-wise?
All right. Want to talk about the F state?
The what? They have no state? I think I made myself pretty clear on it.
Yeah. I can't actually think of any other topic.
Want to talk about Reciteer?
Honestly, to be honest, I came here mostly because I want first of all talk about anime. But the other thing was I want to talk about what you meant by neoliberal.
Yeah, you just had that question.
That was about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if I guess since you like hearing about economics, I'll just talk a bit more about it. Maybe people in chat are getting bored, but since this is what you came here for, you're my guest. One thing I studied during my public economics courses. One thing I figured out was that digital goods. So that is, hold on a sec. Digital goods are public goods, so they act like the clean air would, like economically speaking. And so technically you would want a digital good, whether it be software, coding, whatever, to be distributed from a central actor because they function like public goods. And this is why piracy is actually economically efficient because it captures all of this this giant surplus in society because like it doesn't cost anything to duplicate a file.
But you can't really make it a public good because then nobody would actually make it.
Well, no, that's the point. You do government grants to fund software as
Sorry.
needed. It's a publicly
Yeah,
it's a public good and it's all available for free, like so publicly funded free software.
I misunderstood when you said centralized distribution. Well, that was mildly awkward.
All right, hold on a sec. I just had to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
All right, so where was I? So what question do you have about it?
Oh no, I don't, nothing really. I just misunderstood what you said about central distribution.
Yeah, so public air and national defense well, not public air, clean air and national defense are public goods, so they're provided by a central actor. Because if you don't provide them by a central actor for their efficient cost, then people are just going to like ignore it, and the free rider problem will cause lots of damage to society. And so similarly with software, uh, people are going to charge for software. It's going to cause an economic loss in society, and so you would rather have a central actor do free software. You can still have private software that gets funded just because there's such a demand for software. People would still pay for it to an extent, but you should still have a repository of public software that is free.
Oh, okay. Now I get it. Now I get it. So kind of like a public investment fund for software.
Yeah, because it costs nothing for people to use software in society. I mean, well, like the duplicate a piece of software for somebody, it costs nothing, and they can use it to be very, very productive. Like if people pirate Photoshop and all this other stuff all the time to be very productive and do lots of useful things for society. Although I guess Twitter trolls aren't really productive in their photoshopping. Somebody in the chat
Can you
says,
imagine that?
somebody in the chat says, would you live in an
Would you?
anarcho-primitivism world?
No. Oh God, I got super triggered talking about Ancapistan with a friend a while back, and I was like, because he was talking about how a corporation controlling the government would be so much better than an actual government because they'd have to be held accountable to by the people, and then I was like, uh, that's not true. It's going to be the exact same thing because
yeah, the free riding
uh,
problem doesn't
a
get
mon-
fixed.
I was actually gonna say my main argument was actually based that when something has a monopoly and there's nothing in its way, it's going to use its power to oppress anything that's going to take away its monopoly. Yeah, that's why you can't actually have Ancapistan without something to make sure that it stays Ancap.
Yeah, that's why I was arguing for like the technocratic libertarianism where you have the market needs to be enforced by the state. The market's like a cooperative game we all play, and it's enforced by the state, upholding the rules and making sure the rules are followed. If the rules aren't followed, then you don't really have a market at all. So
Antitrust laws, why do they exist?
yeah, not
Yeah, that's
not
what
that
I
they
want
have
to
any
put
effect in
as
our
a
current
guy.
society. Look at all the fucking
Yeah.
mergers that happen all the time. Jesus, they're just gonna merge into fucking Google Megacorp soon, and it's just gonna be the end, I guess.
Can you imagine a world can you imagine a world where Google wasn't allowed to what was it called when Microsoft originally forced people to use Internet Explorer, and then the government stepped in to say no, that's a monopoly. What was it called again?
What do you mean
Ne- Never
when?
mind. Point is, imagine a world where Google didn't gain that didn't take over everything.
I mean, it's just once you get enough money, you can get the politicians in your pocket and then get
Yeah.
anti-competitive shit for you, and then you're basically untouchable, and that's just the problem. Is our political system more than it is any economic? I mean, all these companies have done a lot of good shit in terms of improving the wealth of society. It's just
Hmm.
they have too much power.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm reading the chat.
Someone asked, "Is it possible to stop the process of atomization?" Uh, yeah. If you have a more homogenous society, you don't dehomogenify it. It's going to be less atomized. Like look at Japan, less atomized society, very low crime. They have like cultural shit that's common no matter where you go in Japan. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That actually came up in the Spencer Kokesh debate, and I just like Kokesh was saying about, don't you get it? As time goes on, humanity is becoming more humanity. how do you say it? Like we are our borders are breaking down. We are now coming closer to one human race, and I just wanted to hit him
I mean,
because
no.
no, the exact
We're
opposite.
just living in a giant a clusterfuck of a society. That's all that's happening. It's not no. It's not improving. It's just everyone's getting angry and angrier as we all have to live next to each other and compete for political
Yeah,
fucking capital. It's just making everything fucking hard to
it's
do.
like
If we lived in
this also
segregated,
came up in the
homogenous
last.
societies, everybody would probably be happier.
This also came up in the last backyards blood sports actually when they were talking about when I forgot NCAP brought someone out someone from Discord or somewhere who just mentioned that you can't really the only time like you can get two groups that are originally what's the word different from each other to unite is when there's an external pressure for it, and once that external pressure is gone then they're going to start atomizing again.
Well, you don't even need like Japan. They just don't let people in, and they have a bunch of norm laws in their society, and that's it. They don't have like some giant fucking thought police going
Yeah,
around.
that's what I mean because like what's it called? Because there's still it's still I meant among non homogenized groups because that's what was being talked about in the last Backyard was forced with the Proud Boy guy.
I didn't watch all that.
Yeah, don't it's painful.
Yeah, I mean, basically they hash out the same
There's just
arguments every
certain
time.
lines genetically speaking there are just certain lines that you can't compensate for. Like you can't force these two like say if people are always talking about how China is so diverse, but ultimately they're still Chinese. Like genetically speaking, you can still draw a circle around them.
Yeah.
So, how you feel about race mixing?
I mean, I'd rather live in a homogenous society, and it depends on what that homogeneity is defined to be. Like
Mm.
if some people wanted to make like a fucking uh, East Asian white only mixed ethno state, like a HAPA state somewhere,
Mm.
the HAPA state, uh,
Personally,
it would still work.
I don't think it's gonna work out because first of all, if you leave people to their own devices, the ones that will actually race mix are in the minority, and when they have actually race mix, like the variation of the whichever genes are actually being inherited are just the variance is just too high to make one
State
cohesive
enforced race
society.
mixing.
What?
We're gonna be there soon. State enforced race mixing.
Yeah, that looks to be where it's going.
Oh god. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not mentioning where I live, but lately every time I go to university, there's this big sign that says, report to the police anything that's like talking about separatist movement.
Yeah. If we had more successful political separatist movements, people would be a lot happier off. I would think between like a balkanized U.S., a fucking Europe, all these little states in Europe who want to break free of their governments. I mean, if that happened, we don't really need that much to defend ourselves anymore. We just need the political will to defend
Yeah,
yourself and some
because
nukes. So
it's just like it's starting to get kind of It's like people no matter what you do, people want a government that's representative of their interests,
mm-hmm.
and that you just don't get that in a in a multicultural society because it's in the name. It's multicultural.
You get a government that represents a bunch of other people's interests as well as yours, kind of, but not nobody
Yeah.
gets their interests actually represented.
Mm.
And I'd rather it, and you don't want the interest. I mean, even in a homogenous society, there's going to be divides and factions and all this other stuff. But you don't.
Yeah,
You'd
but
much
it's
rather
like I
have.
said earlier.
Yeah,
That's still within the. It's like that's still within the acceptable acceptable limit.
yeah,
Like the variations among a
yeah. Like
homogeneous
you'd much
society.
rather just live next to somebody you slightly disagree with politically than somebody who believes themselves in a different identity group completely and like just views you as an
Yeah.
other and takes your money and doesn't use it for their own purposes. Like that's just not a society you want to live in. Like just having a political disagreement, like it used to be, it was much more reasonable.
Mm.
Right.
Well, it used to be. The Jews also used to not have this much power.
What do you know? What a coincidence.
Yeah. What a coincidence.
Pure coincidence.
Yeah.
My meeting of you in Vienna was pure coincidence. Fuck it, I love that video. I'm gonna go watch it after the stream. The fucking gun control pure coincidence video. Do.
Anything else you want to talk about?
All right, we go back to nerdy
More
talk for a little
weebish.
bit. It's been about an hour. Worski went on
Yeah.
a bit earlier, so
Yeah, let's recharge the energy, power levels.
the weeb energy.
Yeah.
So how much of Reciteer did you play? Did you beat it?
Good. No, because my computer broke down before I could.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was a 9-year-old desktop. It was a miracle I was still running at that point.
Oh man, but can you not play it on your current computer?
Actually, I could. Just I haven't actually gotten to do it.
Yeah. I played it and I struggled because I was wasting my time doing the dungeon, and I just started doing.
Yeah, that's like the beginner's mistake. You do.
Don't buy. No, there's no reason to go to the dungeon. You just buy and sell shit like a super Jew, and you win.
The dungeon is actually that's actually just a side game.
Yeah, you just want to sit in your little shop and just sell stuff all day, and you'll win. You'll pay off your debt, and you'll own a little store.
Speaking of manga, do you know Surezure Children?
Yeah, that one's pretty good.
Oh yeah,
that's some cute, adorable love shit.
That's undoubtedly my favorite. Like holy shit.
Your favorite manga of all time?
Maybe not all time, but it's in my 3x3. Definitely, for sure.
It's pretty interesting, yeah. Just a bunch of little kawaii couples, huh? With a good variety of personalities and shit.
The way the guy does it, the setup is it's always so good. Like I don't know how to describe it. It's just really good.
Yeah, it's just cute, adorable love shit.
You mentioned in the previous one that the Japanese, they take cliches and they just take it so far that it just works.
Yeah, people complain about the cliches, but here's the thing: if you know all the cliches, then you can be easily amused by simple changes in the cliches or subversions of them.
I actually take it a step further because I don't know, the Japanese, they're so passionate about it. Like, have you ever seen a Japanese theater play?
Kabuki? I've never actually watched a Kabuki play.
No, not Kabuki, but like, okay. Recently I watched Nier.
Yeah.
I recently watched the Nier stage play, and holy shit, it's like.
The Japanese do overact. I would say that's true.
The choreography, it's really good for a no budget play.
Yeah. Well,
like I try to imagine like for normal people to be paid that little to put that much effort in. It's just.
Some people have said that the Japanese are autistic as a society. Like they have trouble with emotional cues and shit. And that whenever you watch like a Japanese drama or a Japanese movie, everyone is overacting all the time, and that's why they're animating their video games are fucking good. Is because you're just enjoying some silly shit, and so you love it when someone's like yelling at the top of their lungs, overacting. It's hilarious.
Yeah. It's really good. It's like it really makes me want to get into Japanese theater.
So that's a tall order. or just like
I
watching it.
know it's impossible for me to like find any of it, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, I usually watch, besides anime, I do watch Japanese idol shows like AKB
Ooh.
and Nogizaka and Keyakizaka.
I, oh yeah. I don't really because it's
Why
um
not? There's plenty of
that's
subtitled
true
material
actually. Why
online.
not? I should, but I could eventually.
And when you
Maybe
have
I
more
will
free
one day.
time.
Yeah, when I have more free time. Like I actually came on here, but it's like I'm supposed to be doing so much. I'm supposed to be doing so many assignments and studying, but instead I'm here.
Feels bad, man. All right, well, we can wrap this up now if you want.
Yeah. No. Well, all right. 10 more minutes. It's almost been 90 minutes.
We don't have to go 90 minutes. I usually just go 90 minutes if the usually I just have an hour as the minimum, and then if we keep talking, unless there's anything you really wanted to talk about.
I mentioned talked about most things I want to talk about.
Yeah.
I did want to go about Japanese culture a little bit, about like, mm, you know about that guy who works at Bones, the Pakistani guy
Pakistani guy who works at Bones. No, but what
at
about it?
Studio Bones. No, it was just he gets a lot of flack because you know Space Dandy. There was this one time where
Mm-hmm.
he put his signature in one of the keyframes, and everyone was very upset.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. Bahi JD. Someone mentioned it in
I never
chat.
actually heard about that, but yeah, that's par for the course. If I recall, it was No Game No Life's author is like a Brazilian Japanese mix, and then he got into trouble for tracing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It's like I don't know. What was I? What point was I supposed to make
yeah,
with the
what are you
Japanese
making?
culture?
What point are you making? That the Japanese are
Hmm.
right and they should get all non-Japanese out of their society. What point are you
No,
making?
no. Actually, I don't know. It's like I was talking about the point I was trying to make with the Space Danny thing was that I don't know. Do you feel like everywhere else in the world there's this kind of ego problem?
Uh, yeah, to an extent. Well, the more hype, the Japanese really value humility, while other societies have long
Hmm.
abandoned it once we abandon our religious roots.
Yeah, but I mean, like in this case, like even in the if even in something like this, like professional work, they felt this guy he felt the need to put his signature in the middle in a keyframe. Like people could recognize it if they just paused at the right time.
Yeah,
It
it's
just
just
struck me as really unprofessional, you know.
yeah. I mean, it's just the lack of social cohesion or humility towards it. And there's lots of upsides to that in a society, and there's downsides as well.
Okay. I think anything else? I think I've run out of things to talk about.
Talk about the ranking of homosexuality within traps. All right. Well, you know my stance, which is
um
3D traps are gay, 2D traps are not.
mm, if we're talking about the ranking of homosexuality within traps, I'm going to pull out that card and say it depends on the artist.
Depends on the artist.
Yeah, like some people have really managed to capture the boyish charm while trying to. It's like it's
The
boyish
boyish
enough that
charm.
it's
Well,
annoying.
whoa there, buddy. I would. That's a little far.
Yeah, I'm definitely not. Yeah, all of it, like all all of it. Honestly, I think all of it is gay because like you can just fap to a flatel if you're really or a tomboy if you're into the emotional
Yeah, it's
connection or
yeah.
something. But the fact that you prefer traps
Well, if
because
you
they have
prefer
dick,
traps,
yeah,
you're a homo. Yeah,
there's no two ways around that. That is gay.
it's pretty gay.
Yeah, I'm just saying that among the you can tier them the traps you can tier them further. based on the artist, because some of them they really do just sort of draw a girl and then say, hey, this one has a dick. And while the other ones, you can see those subtle hints that's clearly like there's something very
So there's gayer
boyish
trap
about this
artists
girl.
than there
Like
are.
you can
Some trap
tell.
artists are gay, and some trap artists are just pseudo gay.
Yeah. Oh, actually, speaking of which, there's that one trap artist who recently started doing straight dojins, and everyone's so upset because he used to do like exclusively
I don't know.
traps, and now he's gone straight,
Honestly, I don't
and
like
everyone's just like,
that cadre of homo posters on fucking A. They're
yeah,
funny for a while, but I don't like them shitting up all the threads.
yeah,
I'd rather have
calm
enlightened
down, swear
Unans,
word.
you know.
So mentioned very early. So, you think Yuri? You think there's a cultural lesson learned from Platonic Yuri?
Well, no, it's just that that too. But Yuri is the height of Platonic enlightenment. Yeah, I was gonna make a video about this.
Yeah.
Actually at the end of the stream, I'm gonna ask the chat about what video I should make because I just can't fucking decide what I should make. I was gonna get it out before the end of the
You
week.
made a video about it? Is it on
No,
your
no, I
channel or
haven't
is
made
it
a
on a
video. I was
different
going to.
channel?
I have a script written for it.
Oh,
I just haven't made it, and I'm just gonna ask the chat which one they want me to make, or maybe all of them, or just like what order. I don't fucking know. But yeah, but basically, I have this whole theory outlined about why a Yuri is the purest and most Platonic, and on top of the enlightened scale in Plato's fucking allegory.
what what about a platonic yaoi relationship?
It's corrupted by male lust.
Uh, but the Fujos say it's pure.
The Fujis are wrong. What do they know?
But there's
Women can't practice philosophy.
the whole point is that there's no lust because it's two heterosexual males just bonding. It is the ultimate form of pure male bonding.
Well, there's camaraderie, but even then, that has other implications usually, be them economic or
Really.
backstabby. Fucking Fujos, get out. Yuri is the only way forward.
Did you just say there's an economic implication of Fujos of camaraderie?
Yeah, male camaraderie has economic implications sometimes.
Such as?
Uh, begging your friends for jobs and shit, or trying to get one up in life.
So that's what you meant. Well, no, in 2D it's perfectly pure. It's always just about, yeah, like obviously, if we're talking about reality, then there is no two female relationship that's gonna be as pure
No,
as
of course, that's sort
there's
of
no
why
3D
it's a
female.
Platonic estimate. The anime is an estimate of the Platonic realm.
Hmm.
I'll get into this more when I actually make this fucking video, okay? And then you can watch it. Then you can rebut me.
Yeah.
But I gotta fucking get the
Yeah.
video out
Okay.
there first.
Okay.
All right.
So is that it? Closing statements.
Oh yeah. Any closing statements you want to have? I'm just gonna talk to the chat for a little bit after you say your closing statement.
Obviously, I kind of sort of, to be perfectly honest, it's like it says you're interviewing me, but in all honesty, I'm the one interviewing you because I came in here just sort of wanting to ask you about your thoughts on a lot of things.
Yeah.
So, I've done that. I've achieved my objective, and I've definitely learned.
You
So,
just didn't want to talk about
yeah,
yourself that much, which I guess to be expected of Anons. Anons. I
yeah,
fucking trying to pronounce it right
it
because that
was
one
good.
Anon pointed that out.
Yeah, you need.
Anons.
You're not dweeb
Anons.
enough. You're supposed to pronounce. You're not dweeb
Anon.
enough. You're still phonetically American.
Anons. Okay.
Anon.
Anon.
Okay.
Well, I still say Anons because I post on A
Okay.
all the time. I'm probably just going to continue saying Anons because why the fuck not, you know?
Okay. So yeah, that's it. This was fun.
All right. All right. So people in chat, I had a few video ideas. I'll lay out three of them and in order, and then just type the number of which one you want me to fucking do first, because I can't fucking decide. So I was gonna do Yuri in the fucking Platonic realm, and like my theory of like Plato's forms, Yuri is the top form. And I had a sort of, I was gonna start a Bible study series where I read through the Bible and just give hot fucking takes. I was gonna like read through it, abridge my reactions, and then just give like a summary of my notes and my hot fucking spicy takes on the Bible as I read through it. Uh, just as you know, it's a
Rip
fun
Peterson.
project, like a let's read instead of a let's play, a let's read. And then the third project I want to do is just like a video on why Madoka is a fucking great anime. So 1, 2, or 3 in chat.
Quick note. So speaking of Madoka, you know.
No, I'm gonna do all
have
three
you?
Papika. It's just which one should I work on first? Oh, and what you want to say?
I was saying, have you ever watched that one Urobuchi movie? The one that was the one with Saitom's character designs. What was it called? Like Rakuen no Suiho.
I don't think I watched that one.
Oh, it's good. Yeah, you should.
I think Urobachi's best work is Thunderbolt Fantasy. The puppet show.
I watch and I quite like Thunderbolt Fantasy. I actually just want to say, like, this, in my opinion, this is a, like, I think Rakuen Suiho was the ultimate of what was what.
Oh, that was the really animated
Urobuchi's dream project.
Oh, his 3D thing. Yeah, I need to watch that still. But yeah, I think Thunderbolt Fantasy is his magnum opus, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I was mentioned that. I don't mean that Rakuen is his magnum opus. I mean it's clearly the thing that he wanted to write the most. It's clearly like
his passion project. All right, I'll have to watch it then, because I do like Urabachi. He's a good writer. When he's put in the right setting.
Yeah, you could feel that this is his passion project because he put the theme is a lot. Like, the atmosphere is really different from his usual stuff. It's a lot I want to say lighthearted, not really, because if you really read into it, it's actually pretty dark. But it presents itself as pretty lighthearted, very, uplifting.
Okay, I'll look into it when I get some time. A lot of anime in my backlog.
Okay, that's it.
All right. See you guys. This is Anon the Week, episode 3. I'll try next week to episode 4 on Thursday, or if Anon has a schedule that doesn't work on Thursday, we'll do it whenever next week. And as for the vote in chat, they voted 1, so I'm going to do the Yuri in the Platonic Realm video first. I'll make that script a bit better, and then put all the images together, and probably try to get it out this weekend. And okay. Yeah, see you guys later.
Yeah, see, nice talk. See, good night, good evening, goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.